Okay. Hey, how are y'all doing this morning? When people think about the giants of hip-hop, think about the great rappers out there, a couple different names come to mind, right? Jay-Z, Tupac Shakur, may he rest in peace, Kendrick Lamar, Biggie Smalls. But one person is frequently forgotten, and this guy is the original hip-hop gangster artist out there. Who's that person? The Notorious B.A.R.D, okay? So I'm here to tell you. Now, some of you may be rolling your eyes right now. Oh, man, we thought this was going to be cool. He opened with Kendrick Lamar. This is going to be something interesting. We sat all day for this. But now he's going to talk to me about this guy who wrote stories 500 years ago in inscrutable Old English. This dude has zero relevance for my life. Well, you're wrong, okay? Some people think Shakespeare wrote for kings and queens and dukes and duchesses. He did not. He was an entertainer. He wrote plays for a popular audience made up largely of groundlings who paid exactly 1 penny to stand out on the stage drinking cheap booze like Old English ale, eating chicken, maybe getting rained on and snowed on. A trip to the Globe Theater was like going to Gov Ball or Summer Jam, right? If the show was good, everybody cheered. If the show stunk, you booed. Maybe you brought some vegetables along, you threw a little tomatoes, you threw a little lettuce up there, a little cabbage, whatever you had. I appreciate you all for not bringing vegetables today, by the way, so thank you for that. Most importantly, if you had poetic aspirations in the 15 and 1600s and wanted to reach a broad audience, you became a playwright. That's the way to do it. Today, you become a rapper. So if Shakespeare was around today, he'd be trying to combine his words, his flow, with some mad beats to reach his desired audience. And who would his desired audience be? His desired audience would be you guys, right? That's my boy Shakespeare, what he'd look like today, okay? Most importantly, if you look at many of the central themes of contemporary rap music, many of them are precisely the same themes Shakespeare focused on in his works, okay? So let's take a look at some of these themes. Among the themes are racism, political injustice, right? Plenty of rap music on that. Sex and partying and having fun, yeah, see that regularly. Gang life, violence, okay? Again, something we commonly see. These are central themes in hip-hop today. These were central themes in the works of William Shakespeare, okay? So let's talk about racism first, all right? We see racism in hip-hop all the time, right? Let's check in with our man Tupac Shakur on his legendary song, Changes. I wonder what it takes to make this one better place. Let's erase the wasted. Take the evil out the people, they'll be acting right. Cause both black and white and smoke a crack tonight. And the only time we chill is when we kill each other. It takes skills and we real time to heal each other. Similarly, in their hit last year, We the People, a Tribe Called Quest talked about the rise of racist problems and racist hatred in this country.
All you black folks, you must go. All you Mexicans, you must go. And all you poor folks, you must go. Muslims and gays, boy, we hate your ways.
Okay, so you guys are sitting there right now thinking, all right, that's great. Thank you for the beats this morning. We need a little wake-up call at this point. What does this have to do with Shakespeare? Okay, Shakespeare lived in England. You don't get more Anglo than that. He knew nothing about America's problems of race 500 years ago. Okay, 500 years later, after the time that he wrote. So what does this guy know? Okay, but this is the genius of Shakespeare. Okay, this is the brilliance of Shakespeare. Shakespeare wrote a play called Othello. And Othello is a story about a great black general trying to make his way in white Venice, okay? Othello was sort of the Cam Newton of the Venice war scene in a world full of white coaches and white quarterbacks, all right? But Othello had almost a bigger problem there. He wasn't just black, he was a Moor. You know what it means to be a Moor? that means you're a Muslim. So this man is a black Muslim living in Venice, located in Italy, home of the Pope, for those of you who took AP Euro this year. Okay? So what does Othello do when he gets to Venice? Othello finds a beautiful white girl, and he secretly marries her. And how does her father react to this? Our father accuses Othello of employing witchcraft to take his daughter. His father says, whether a maid so tender, fair, and happy, so opposite to marriage that she shunned the wealthy curled darlings of our nation, would ever have to incur a general mock, run from her guardage to the sooty bosom of such a thing as thou? To fear, not to delight. Judge me the world, it is not gross in sense. Thou hast practiced on her with foul charms, abused her delicate youth with drugs and minerals. So Desdemona's father, what's she saying? She's saying, there is no way my pristine daughter would hang out with you, much less marry you, Othello, the black Muslim general in Venice. You must have drugged her. That's the only way to do it. Later on in Othello, we meet the chief antagonist, Othello's chief tormentor, a guy named Iago. Okay? And what does Iago say about Othello? Okay? Iago explains again and again, as I have told thee often, and retell thee again and again, I hate the Moor, my cause is hearted. Iago never explains why he hates the Moor, but one could assume, why does he hate the Moor? Because he's different, because he's black. Shakespeare focuses on racism again in The Merchant of Venice, where Shylock, chief antagonist in the play, is a Jew. He sums up racism quite simply. He says, I am a Jew. Hath not a Jew eyes? Hath not a Jew hands, organs, dimensions, senses, affections, and passions? If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die? And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge? Through these characters, Shakespeare, like Tupac and Tribe Called Quest, is saying whether you're black or white, Jew, Christian, or Muslim, we are all people. We're all the same underneath. And that was a theme that was relevant 500 years ago when Shakespeare wrote it, and it's obviously quite relevant today. Okay. Perhaps you're saying, all right, so, really clever, you found this common theme going on there. Let's move on to the next one here, sex and partying and drinking. All right? We know rap music is full of these celebratory references. Let's take a visit with my personal favorite, Jay-Z.
On the house, the rock boys in the building tonight. Look at how I'm chilling, I'm killing this ice. You don't even gotta bring your purses out. We the dope boys of the year. Drinks is on the house.
Okay, so rock boys in the building tonight, and all the drinks are on us, guys. Let's party, let's celebrate. Not an unusual theme in rap music. Snoop Dogg said it more succinctly than that. When Snoop Dogg simply said, rolling down the street, smoking Indo, sipping on gin and juice, right? It's as simple as that. That's all that life is about, right? According to our friend Snoop Dogg here. Okay, so that's fine. What does this have to do with some English dude who lived 500 years ago? What did Shakespeare or his characters know about drinking and partying and sex and all that stuff? Actually, quite a bit. Shakespeare's works are full of rabble-rousing, carousing, and drinking. And scattered among his many characters are a number of guys that you might refer to as players currently, and I'm sure they weren't referred to that way back in Shakespeare's time. But his works are full of scandalous and salacious references, would be quite at home with the works of folks like Ludacris and Lil Wayne. Let's take a look here at a number of these references to drinking here, okay? So if you take a look there, it says simply that we're talking about ale and drinks. And just want to pull up my notes here. If sack and sugar be a sin, God help the wicked. A quart of ale is a dish for a king. Maybe parents or brothers and sisters have thought that sometime. I would give all my fame for a pot of ale, and so on and so forth. So all this stuff's out there saying, hey, Shakespeare liked to party too. Shakespeare enjoyed his drinks. He enjoyed his ale. He enjoyed guzzling as well. Okay, so we have that piece covered. What about sex? This was Victorian England. We don't talk about things like that, not the way that's talked about in rap music. Well, you'd be surprised, actually. If you take a look, we've got all of these varying lines from Shakespeare. Hamlet says to his girlfriend Ophelia, "That's a fair thought, to lie between maids' legs." Iago, talking about Othello, says, "Your daughter and the Moor are making the beast with two backs." You don't have to be too creative to figure out what that means. Okay? And then, in a play called Titus Andronicus, we have the first, to my knowledge at least, the first yo mama joke, in which an upset son, Chiron, says, "You have undone our mother." And Aaron, who's pictured up there, comes back and says, "Villain, I have done thy mother." Okay. So we see again this common thread that runs through Shakespeare and runs through hip-hop. Let's focus on our last theme here, gang warfare and violence, okay? Gang warfare and the thug life. Rap music is sometimes criticized, sometimes praised for its focus on the thug life and gang warfare. Kendrick Lamar in Good Kid, Mad City talks about life among the Bloods and the Crips.
If Pyros and Crips all got along, they probably gun me down by the end of the song. Seem like the whole city go against me. Every time I'm in the street, I hear ya, 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 ya.
Okay. All right, so great. And there's plenty of others out there talking about the Bloods and the Crips and gang warfare. What does this have to do with Shakespeare? Well, quite a bit. We find similar instances of gang warfare in unusual places, such as Romeo and Juliet. Oh, Romeo and Juliet, that beautiful romance. What could that have to do with any of this? Romeo and Juliet is not simply the story of poor star-crossed lovers. Romeo and Juliet is a play about gang warfare between two clans, the Capulets and the Montagues, okay? And these Capulets and Montagues hate each other, and they go out through the course of this play, and I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but they go out and they kill each other. So if you take a look at Baz Luhrmann's film, Romeo and Juliet, makes this really clear. And here you've got John Leguizamo playing Tybalt. And he comes up and says, "What, drawn and talk of peace? I hate the word as I hate hell, all Montagues and thee. Have at thee, coward." And then he pulls his sword, or in the case of Baz Luhrmann's film, his gun, and they go at it. Okay, so we've got a little bit of gang warfare here. That's cool. What about violence? We all know that hip-hop is filled with violence. Sometimes it gets criticized for that as well. As Jay-Z puts it in his song, Threat,
I put that knife in you, take a little bit of life from you. Am I frightening you? Shall I continue? I put the gun to you. I let it sing you a song. I let it hum to you. The other one sing along.
Okay, that's pretty tough, right? I put the knife to you, I put the gun to you, okay? The violence in today's hip-hop is nothing compared to Shakespeare. In these plays, you encounter the most vicious, psychopathic, twisted murderers and miscreants you could ever imagine, okay? We have plays where an aspiring prince kills off his brother the king. Then he kills off his other brother because he's ahead of him in line to the throne. Then he marries the wife of a guy he killed earlier, and then he kills off his sister and his tiny little nephews, okay? That's Richard III for you. Need another example? How about we have a situation where a prince poisons his brother the king and then marries the king's wife and then tries to murder the dead king's son. To be or not to be, folks, that's Hamlet. Third here, we have another one where we've got a jealous king who suspects his baby is not his own, so what does he do? He tells the woodsman, take the baby out to the woods and kill the baby. And the woodsman would have succeeded but for the fact that the woodsman first is eaten by a bear. Eat your heart out for those of you who saw the movie The Revenant. It gets pretty rough here too. And then maybe my personal favorite, from the movie Titus, you've got two young men who get angry at an aging general. So what do? They snatch the general's young daughter, take her away, they rape her, they cut her hands off, and they cut out her tongue. So she can't tell anybody who did it. All right? And these are just some examples. In Macbeth alone, there are 32 murders or deaths in Macbeth. They call it the Scottish play because it's bad luck to say its name because something horrible might befall you. Okay, it doesn't get more gangster than the stuff that's going on in Shakespeare's plays. Okay, so we've got these common threads, but why am I telling you all this? Why am I sharing this with you? Really to help you guys understand that all art and poetry, certainly great art and poetry, share a common tradition. That the English language poetic and lyrical tradition that may have started with Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, which was a scandalous work at the time back in the 1300s, continued 200 years later with the notorious B.A.R.D. Shakespeare, and now is reflected in today's hip-hop artists like Jay-Z, Childish Gambino, and Kendrick Lamar. That the sometimes almost invisible thread that began to unwind centuries ago through the work of these runs through the work of these contemporary hip-hop poets today. They are the voices of conscience. They are the voices of outrage. They are the voices shouting to be heard. So for you hip-hop kids out there who think that Shakespeare has nothing to do with you, give it a try. See what wonders it might hold. Maybe try to figure out why this guy has been so popular for so long. Try and figure out why everything from West Side Story to The Lion King owes a debt to Shakespeare. Lion King, Scar the jealous uncle, kills Mufasa the brother, and then tries to eliminate his son. Folks, that's Hamlet. No disrespect to our friends at Disney, but they just swiped that from Shakespeare. And for any of you cultivated parents out there who think rap is a bunch of noise, who think hip-hop is really just this awful indictment of music today, open your minds a little bit. Listen to songs like We the People from Tribe Called Quest or Empire State of Mind from Jay-Z and Alicia Keys. You may come to understand that brilliant poetry can come from unexpected places. Now, I'm going to leave you guys with the words of Lin-Manuel Miranda, who's perhaps the first guy to perfectly marry hip-hop and theater into a seamless whole in his popular musical, you may have heard of it, called Hamilton. When you have an opportunity to experience new art, when you have an opportunity to hear new music, when you have an opportunity to see new or different theater, do not throw away your shot. Thanks very much.
I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey, yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot.
Thanks very much.